What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back to do two looks with a new collection from Melt Cosmetics. Melt recently released their 420 collection. Appropriately enough, it was originally released on April 20th, but we have been through some trials and tribulations as far as me getting my hands on this actual collection. First launch was a very small launch and I did not get in there quick enough, but I got in there on the second round and I got the whole collection box, which they call the stash box. It's really cute. I'm going to open it with you guys and show you. Even though I got in there this time, the post office just decided to just fuck with me for 2 days trying to get this collection. It kept saying it was out for delivery and I would like set up to film and sit here and wait for the doorbell to ring. It finally showed up last night after like 48 hours of frustration and trying to film. So we're here this morning ready to film two looks with this collection. The first look, which is the one I'm wearing on my face right now, is like kind of a little bit like a 60s. Kind of has like a little bit of like a mod vibe. It was inspired by a recent look I saw by SIREN. I thought it was very, very pretty the way she did it with the greens, and I was like, that new Melt collection. I'm gonna try something similar with that. I'll also timestamp both of the looks in the description in case you want to jump from one to the other or come back and just jump into the look and like try to recreate it or whatever. I'll also link all the products I use down below. What else is going on? I don't know. How are you guys? I just feel like it's been a long time since I sat down to film. Are you subscribed yet? I would like it if you were. If you're just lurking around, that would be cool. I'd also really appreciate it if you left a like on this video because I think that'd be pretty neat. Oh, also, this is not like set in stone yet and I haven't made anything at all toward actually making this happen, but a few of you guys have asked me to make prints of my like more artistic like lip art and stuff like that, and I have been looking into a way to make that happen, and I'm definitely going to have some questions for you guys about like what you want to see. So coming pretty soon, I might like make a little survey for you guys and leave that in the description. That way you can let me know, like, would you want like actual art prints of lip art? Would you want like tote bags and stuff like that? I think those kind of options would be cool. But of course I want to know what you guys actually want, because you have asked for printed versions of it, but that can mean so many things, like phone cases, you know what I mean? But for now, feel free to let me know in the comments, like, is that something you'd be interested in at all? I know a few of you have mentioned it without me even saying anything, so I know some of you are, but I would love to know like what your thoughts on that are, and if I did something like that, what would you want to see? The fact that anybody wants anything I made printed on anything blows my mind. So let's just jump in and start unboxing the Melt 420 collection, and then we'll roll on into look number one, which is this look right here. All right, so as I probably already mentioned in the intro, I bought the entire stash box. So that's the whole 420 collection in this collectible box, which includes the palette, 2 gel liners. One of them is like this really cool green color and I'm super stoked for it, and one of their little Melt branded glass pipes. Can we talk for a second about how hot Laura and Dana are? Have you ever seen brand owners this hot before? How? The main event, much like with any collection, is the palette. So the 420 palette, I love the way they did the packaging on this. The gold is still, it has like that 420 like kind of weed theme going on still, but it's very like in a luxurious way, if that makes sense. This is what the inside packaging on the palette looks like. It's holographic. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it kind of moves as you move it. This is what the inside of the palette itself looks like. It's mostly a matte palette. There's only one shade in here that has some shimmer to it, the shade Shatter. Everything else is a matte shade, which is very interesting. I'm gonna grab my BH number 6 and I'm gonna start in the crease with the color Dank. I don't know if I've ever seen an eyeshadow with like a pressing in that much of the pan before. It looks very cool. I'm gonna put that right in my crease, kind of packing it in place at first, and then I'm gonna blend it upward toward the brow. I'm not gonna pay too much mind to how much of it I accidentally bring down onto the lid, because think, in spite of the fact that I'm going to define the crease with a liner, I'll probably also cut the crease just to get like a clean place to put other shadow colors down and make sure they're nice and bright. With a clean brush, I'm going to blend the edge of that toward my brow. I'm going to grab a Sigma E36 blending brush and I'm going to go into the shade Chronic, and I'm going to use that shade, it's a little bit of a darker matte green, to just deepen up that crease. But as usual, when I'm going to cut the crease in any way, shape, or form, I like to put that depth above my natural crease area. Ooh, that shade is gorgeous. I love that one. Using little tiny baby circular motions so we don't spread it out too far. So now that that shape is done, I'm gonna cut the entirety of the lid area. I usually use my Urban Decay concealer, but I don't know where I put it right now. It literally just disappeared off my desk. So I'm gonna pick up the Lock-It concealer from KVD Vegan Beauty Dunder Mifflin Fun Run Race for the Cure. I'm picking that up on my NABLA cut crease maker brush, and I'm just gonna go through the entire crease and just make a faux higher crease there. Hopefully, nice and neat and clean. Now, normally when I do this, I might just flick the end out, but because I'm going for more like mod 60s kind of a vibe, I'm gonna make it pretty round. I'm gonna grab this Sigma E55 brush, and I'm gonna use that to take the shade Faded, putting that over the whole entirety of what we just cut with that concealer. This brush is a little chonky for this, so I'm going to use it for like the lower part and then switch to something smaller for up near the cut. For that, I'm going to use the NABLA Lash Line Smudger. This definitely seems like one of those shades that is grabbing the moisture of the concealer a little bit and getting darker. But as I put it down, it seems like it's evening out more, so I'm gonna hope that that's the case. See, this is why I don't like switching to different concealers, doing things like this, because you just never know. I'm gonna take my MAC 242 brush, and I'm gonna go into the brightest green shade here called Shotgun, and I'm gonna pack that color onto the center of the lid, and then go back in with a little bit of Faded around the edges to blend that back together. Adding that brightness in the center tends to bring the middle of the lid forward, which in my case is very helpful because my eyelids don't have a lot of shape in that direction, so I like to fake it. Okay, so for this eye, I wanted to experiment a little bit and see if it was the concealer that was making that color pick up a little bit unevenly. So for this one, I went ahead and cut the crease with the ABH eye primer. I'm not a huge fan of this eye primer for all over the lid, but I do find that it works pretty well as something to make a cut crease with. So it was a good alternative to my other concealer, which I still can't freaking find. And I do think that this one looks a lot more even than this one. So I will keep that in mind as we go forward in this experiment. So next I'm going to do that graphic line through the faux crease, and to do that I'm going to pick up the gel liner that comes in this collection. The shade is called Spliff, and this is a dark brown. This is the first time that I've gotten one that didn't look like a perfect little dollop in there when you open it up. To do the line, I'm going to switch back and forth between a couple of different brushes because generally when I work with a gel liner, that's what I like to do. But I'm going to start with this little Makeup Forever liner brush and see how that goes. And I'm just going to start sketching that line right at the edge of where we ended that green. This brush was a poor choice. All right, moving on. I'm going to switch to this nail art brush. When in doubt, use tiny nail art brushes for your liner. That's what I say. I'm gonna get really close to the mirror so I can not screw this up, and then I'll be right back. Now, after sitting here and getting very close to the mirror for quite some time and using my little nail art brush to do it, I think I got these almost even, almost sisters, not twins. So good enough for now. Honestly, I think I really mean this. Like, if you have a hard time with gel liner, nail art brushes are what's up. I'll link the set that I use in the description. They're like so cheap. I think they were like $3 on Amazon. So I'll link those for you. If I forget, please feel free to verbally bitch slap me in the comments and then I will add them. I concealed and powdered under my eyes. When you do that, even if you have a little bit of patchiness in your lid color, suddenly everything just looks more even and together. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe that's a lesson about how makeup is more about the big picture. For the lower lash line, basically I want to reflect what we did in the crease. I'm going to skip the brown shade because it's a smaller surface area, so we don't need as much of like a fade out of color to blend it. So I'm going to go right into Chronic on a pencil brush. I'm gonna sweep that under the lower lashes, and for the end, I'm just gonna bring that slightly past the end of the eye. And I'm gonna take my little Sigma E36 and blend the edge of that as well. On a liner brush, I'm gonna take a little bit more of that Spliff gel liner, and I'm just going to line the very, very closest part of the lower lash line with that. Unlike on the top, I am going to buff this into the surrounding shades just a little bit. Just looking for it to give us that same depth and definition that we got on the top. For the waterline, I want to brighten it up, and I was thinking that the best way to do that might be with a nude liner, but then I was like, there's kind of like a green and gold theme happening here in this collection, so maybe it makes more sense to go through my waterline with a gold liner. So I'm going to grab this House of Lashes gold liner pencil, and I'm going to run that right through my waterline. And finally, on a clean pencil brush, I'm going to go into the shade Shatter, which is the only shimmer in this palette, and I'm going to pop a little bit, not a ton, but just a little bit of it on my inner corner, just to add a little bit more of that gold accent like we did in the waterline, but also just to have a little bit of difference in texture. As I'm sitting here and just letting this marinate on my eyes, it has become very, very apparent to me that these work way better over that ABH eye primer than they do over the KVD Vegan Beauty Dunder Mifflin Fun Run Race for the Cure concealer. If anybody doesn't understand why I keep making that joke, please go to their Instagram and look at the announcement that they made a couple months ago about what KVD Vegan Beauty stands for now, and tell me it's not the same thing. For the lip, I think to go along with this mod-ish vibe and kind of complement what we've got going on in the eyes, I want to do something very nude. So I'm going to go over the entire lip with the NABLA Cupid's Arrow Stylo. This one is called Arrow number 1. And in the center, I'm going to put some of the BUXOM Full On Lip Cream in the color Irish Coffee. It's a very, very pale nude. I like to use it as like a little pop of gloss in the center of the lip though, to like really make something look like nude, but also add that little bit of like poutiness to the lips, you know what I mean? And this is the first look. All right, for look 2, I think it's our responsibility at this point to go into the more warm tones that are in this palette. So I'm gonna start with the color Full Melt on my BH number 6 brush. I'm gonna put that through the crease, and this time I'm gonna flick it out a little bit at the end. That color just blew my mind as far as like how much coverage I got with 1 to 2 dips into the pan and how well it blended. That's by far the best color I've used in this palette so far. Wow. I'm bringing that shape a little bit up toward my brow on the inside of the eye over here. Why? I don't know, because I feel like it changes the shape of the look a bit, usually makes it a little bit more interesting. Why I chose to do that, it's a good question, but I did, and here we are. On my Real Techniques shading brush, I'm going to go into this bright yellow shade Wax, and I'm going to put that over the entire inner portion of the lid where we didn't put any color down yet, and actually blend it right into that crease shade. I'm thinking I would like this look to be a little bit more on the soft blendy side. While I'm here, I think I'm going to use a little bit of this yellow along the outside of that blend too, just for fun, because I feel like that looks cool. I'm going to go into a little bit more of the shade Full Melt on that same brush, and I'm going to use that brush to just blend it into the outer corner. Now that this is down, I'm going to grab the other eyeliner shade. This is the green one called Wallflower. This time I'm starting with my nail art brush. I'm not even going to play games. I don't even know why I tried to use a real brush on the last one. I don't know what I was thinking. I know better. I know better. And although this is not a cut crease look by any stretch because it's very blended together, I want to do like one little graphic line right above the crease on the inner corner. In person that looks really cute, but I feel like you can't see it on the camera, and I don't know why. Maybe when I look at the footage, I'll be able to see it. But right now, on the monitor, it looks like nothing. Maybe I should make it a little thicker. Should I make it a little thicker? Okay, now you can definitely see it a little better. I'm gonna wait for it to dry and then clean up the edges a little bit more. But in the meantime, I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that shade on the brush, and I'm gonna do like 3 tiny dots along the shape of the crease area on the outer half. I feel like that's pretty subtle, but it's a fun detail, and I think it brought this look into like something more interesting, which we haven't really done in a while. I feel like I've been a boring ass bitch lately. I'm sorry I've been a boring ass bitch. I cleaned off my BH number 7. I'm gonna go into the shade Hash. I also concealed underneath my eyes and powdered. Oops, forgot to mention that part. And I'm gonna use that underneath my lower lashes. I'm gonna sweep that down as far as my little heart desires, because it's a very subtle shade. I kind of want this to be like super blendy even on the bottom. And on the same brush, I'm gonna go back into Full Melt. I'm gonna sweep that on the outer half of the lower lash line and bring it up to the shape that we made on the top. Even go back in and blend that together a little bit on the top lid. I'm gonna take my Luxie 111 mini brush. I'm gonna go back into the one shimmer shade Shatter, but this time I'm gonna wet it so I get a little bit more intensity. I'm gonna pack that onto the inner corner. This time I'm gonna do it quite a bit more heavily than I did last time. And then I'm gonna take my BH number 7 again and blend the edge of that into the mattes. And I realized as I'm finishing up this look, there's only one color we haven't used from this palette, and that is the shade Roll It. So I'm going to take that on a NABLA lash line smudger brush, and I'm going to do just that. I'm going to smudge it into my lash line on the outer corner on the bottom. And now we used every shade in the palette. There we go. To finish up this look, I'm also going to go into that gel liner on a small liner brush, and I'm going to use that to line my waterline. A few of you have asked a bunch of different times how I like the Melt gel liners on my waterline. They are phenomenal in the waterline. It's a little tricky to get used to applying a gel liner in your waterline, but if you do, they seem to last way better than pencils for the most part. The Urban Decay pencils last a pretty long time, but in general, the gel liners are like in there. Ooh, that just made it so much more fun. Okay, I finished up my skin. I added some freckles using FRECK, and I'm wearing the House of Lashes Aquamarine lashes. I feel like the freckles kind of like add a little bit of freshness with this look that was needed, because I'm also going to like amp the colorfulness of this look up a bit by doing a bright red lip. And if you know me at all, you know that for my bright red lip, I'm going to use the FENTY Uncensored lip paint. If you don't know me at all, hi, I'm Nicole, and I like to use FENTY Uncensored lip paint for my red lips. And this is the second look. Okay, so after using the whole collection, not surprisingly, I'm very, very satisfied with my experience. I always look forward to Melt collections. You guys know how much I like their collections. Usually, every now and then, there's something that doesn't quite work for me, but for the most part, their makeup just sits right with me. Whoever is developing their shit, we have the same taste. The palette itself, overall, I think it's really, really nicely done. A few people have asked me in my DMs and stuff if I think it's comparable to the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. I do think there are some similar tones, but overall, I would say the two palettes are quite different from each other, just because this is, first of all, almost completely matte with the exception of one shade, and this palette also has quite a few colors in it that lean more to the green side, which is a tone that is pretty much completely absent from the Naked Honey palette. The formulation is also very different on these two. Urban Decay is like a medium to high level of pigment where you can still build it up a bit more, and I find Melt Cosmetics eyeshadows to be like super high pigment, and you kind of pack them on and then blend away and like make it work that way. Both are some of my favorites, to be clear. I just don't think that they are necessarily comparable to each other. The gel liners in general are some of my favorite gel liners. I like that the formula on these is very, very soft. I find that it's a lot easier for me to apply it than other gel liners. It doesn't drag on my skin. But if I had to choose one, I would go with Wallflower just because it's a lot more unique. Spliff is a really nice dark brown, but but it's a dark brown. So this is a little bit more like something special, something that you're not going to find everywhere else. As a matter of fact, I can't think off the top of my head of another gel liner quite like this shade. It's almost like the color of the inside of an avocado. The final item in the box is their little glass pipe. I bought the jade one. Originally, I was more interested in the amber and the burgundy ones that they had, but I realized that those are very similar to ones I already own. Obviously, I haven't used this yet, but I don't really think I need to review that for you guys, especially if I don't want to get like hella demonetized. In the first look, I did find that, ooh, let me grab the palette so I can describe exactly what colors I'm referring to. Hang on. The two colors Shotgun and Faded over that concealer were difficult to get even. After I packed it on top of itself quite a few times, even the eye that I used the concealer on that wasn't cooperating as well, that one wound up looking okay in the end. I'm assuming that it's more of an issue with using it over that particular concealer, so if that's the concealer you usually use to cut your crease, maybe don't. But certain shadows sometimes react a little funny with a more wet concealer, and those being like the lighter, more bright ones in the palette kind of makes sense that that was the case. So I will keep you guys updated and let you know what I think about them more going forward as I use them. I'll probably update you on my Instagram story, so if you're curious, head over there. If you're not following me on Instagram already, that is usually where I update those types of things. I also post fun stuff like lip art, and I update my stories with other shit all the time, and yoga pants, and what I'm cooking for dinner, and we just bullshit over there, and it's a good time, and I would love to have you. Please leave me a comment. Let me know if you grabbed this collection, if you were excited for this collection, if you got things individually. Do you like the Melt eyeshadow formula in general? What do you think of their gel liners? Please, anything that you think about this collection, I would love to hear it in the comments. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe because I would love to have you around for future videos. Ooh, what else? Don't forget to leave a like on this video because it's very helpful and I would really appreciate it. And I don't really think I have anything else to say today. So, I'm gonna zip my lips. I'm gonna practice touching my top lip to my bottom lip. That's all for now. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me and talk about makeup today. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you in the next one.